Erin Marcus, thank you so much for coming here today, all the way from Florida.
All the way from Florida. Coming
Yeah,
here from Florida.
yes. So thank you so much for being here. And Erin, uh, for many years we did a lot together, where we were the Erin and Erin show.
Yes.
So, while I
Here
was
we are
working,
again.
here we are again. And when I was working at First Class Moving and Storage, and Erin was doing Caring Transitions, and we would be on different organizations, realtor organizations, to help with like affiliate business and programming. And we always had so much fun. And you always helped me with my clients who needed help with, move management, and were super duper helpful for me. And now you're doing coaching. You're doing,
Yes.
you know, conquering your business. And what a time to be doing that.
It feels as crazy as people might think. I think it's the absolute best time to be doing it.
Why?
Because there's so much opportunity right now.
Mm-hmm.
And by opportunity, I mean opportunity to help, opportunity to do things that might have scared you before, kind of like what we were chatting about before we got started. How it's supposed to be is over. It just doesn't exist right now, which means, what are you going to be scared of? I just had a conversation this morning. I'm stuck, don't feel bad for me, in Florida, sleeping in a twin bed. And, I'll be 50 years old. I'm at my mom's house. I'm sleeping in a twin bed, and I'm eating turkey on white bread with Cheetos for lunch. I mean, there is no how it's supposed to be anymore. So there's so many entrepreneurs and small businesses that I've been talking to these last couple of weeks that have done things that they've been scared to do for months.
Right.
But those fears don't matter now.
Right. There's nothing holding you back.
There's nothing holding you back, because how's it going to be perfect? It can't be perfect. There is no perfect. There's no okay.
Well, we're creating our own new destinies.
Yeah. And they're just driven. And this is what I love. And I say this when I'm working with clients, your commitment to the outcome has to be greater than your fear of whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
And right now, you see the people rising whose commitment to helping other people is just greater than their fear of not knowing the technology, or not having the right clothes on LinkedIn, or for, whatever.
Or clothes in general.
Zoom, those fears are a little, okay, some of us have gone a little too far, but their commitment to the outcome of being of service is now surpassing their fear of looking stupid or not looking right on video, or all the things that had held us back.
Right. I think with the video and doing Zoom things like this, like, God, I don't know how many I've done in the past week. I don't even know what a week is anymore. Right. What day it is. But I was looking, I get the Wall Street Journal, and there was a picture of like all the G20 leaders having a video conference call. And you've got, it just makes you realize, like, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat, even if you're the leaders of these countries, and people are in their home offices, and they're looking at their phones while they're on the call.
Because you can't not.
Right, like Justin Trudeau, I see he's looking down like as part of this screenshot. And you look at Prime Minister of England has this now, and
and you talk about serving from home. The Today Show is being streamed from home.
Is it? Oh, I haven't watched.
Savannah's at home.
Wow.
The night show, the late night shows are all putting out what dates they'll be back, because they're all just streaming from home. And
Conan O'Brien is going to be from home starting next week.
It's all about how do you adjust. So, and this is a non-business, but a totally related situation. My dad is stuck at home. And my dad is a judge for the International Powerlifting Federation. So he travels around the world judging these competitions. So he also works out, and he had his dumbbells at home. The gym is closed. So he called the gym. They brought him a bench.
Really?
they brought him a bench. He lives on the first floor. They put it outside his patio door, and he opened the door, cleaned it, and brought it in his house. So he's working out at home. You just do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. I mean, I've been doing things on, I got like this Work It app and my kids are doing it. My wife's been doing like Zoom exercise classes with
Yeah.
her mom's friend who's in Detroit. And, I've been doing stuff on here or go for a run or whatever, as long as we're allowed to. So,
Apart from everyone.
yeah, I honestly feel like we're on a space station, like each of us.
Have you seen the videos that they've done? They
No.
had the astronauts giving advice, because
Really?
who's been more isolated than them?
Right.
And they had some amazing, the gentleman who with the twin brothers, and he was the one up in the space station, I forget his name, but he did a great video about how do you handle the isolation, how do you stay calm in all this.
Right. So, I mean, how do you coach people? Are you doing it like this? Is this how you've been doing it?
This is 90% of my world anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There
You're ready.
there was a reason when, my trip to Florida was already planned. It wasn't planned to be 2 weeks long, but out of all of my siblings, I really am the one with the most flexible ability to do my job. Well, also because my stage speaking engagements have now changed they've either been postponed or they turned virtual. And there's, like we said, there's a little bit of adjustments. I try to get outside as much as I can because I'm down here and not in Chicago, and then the landscaper shows up and you gotta move inside, or like right now, the TV's quiet, but someone will interrupt us at some point, and it's all just fine. But this is the way I've tried to create my business. So I was lucky in that regard. But I also think for the people who weren't already in that position, what I did have to change is what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. So I had just done a bunch of work, and it's still out there and available for people. Conquer Your Time. I had been offering that to help people be more efficient, and how do you get twice as much done in half the time? Nobody really cares about that anymore.
It's a lot of, everyone's got time. That's
so that was instantly not relevant. Right. So for me, it wasn't so much pivoting physically, but it was, okay, that world doesn't work anymore. So what can I do? And I, as we talked before, that's how I came up with, well, what can we do? So it was the top 10 things you can still conquer in turbulent times. So maybe you have to pivot how you deliver your services, or maybe you have to pivot the message so that it's more relevant.
Right.
But here's the thing. That's the exact same question for small business and entrepreneurs that has nothing to do with our current situation. The question always is, what keeps your client up at night that you can solve? It's
how do you provide that value and solve their problem?
Right. It's the same question. Right. We just now have a few more, factors to take into consideration when you come up with your answer.
Yeah. Now, how do you help people who are worried that, what if they get sick? How do you deal with that?
I've heard this said a couple ways. That worry, and I get it, the anxiety, and I absolutely feel like the fact that I'm physically in a beautiful environment has helped me. And not everyone has that opportunity, and some people have more anxiety than others. Worry is basically negative goal setting. It's negative faith. And I'm not telling you to not worry, but you absolutely have to take precautions, not just physically, but mentally, to keep yourself in the right frame of mind to not go down the rabbit hole. And at the same time, be a little gentle with yourself.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot. Be gentle with yourself.
And someone called me out on it just yesterday, because I have a mastermind that I'm in part of, and we post our wins and we post our concerns and we give each other feedback. And I had said something about feeling disconnected and then not quite getting done as much as I think I should be getting done, when truth of the matter is I'm doing a lot. But, someone called, hey, be gentle with yourself. It's
all you can do.
It's all you can do, and you're adding to what's already a legitimate concern.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it makes sense to prepare for the event that you get sick? If, let's say, I'm a real estate agent, um, have backup?
I think you should do that regardless, because
Well, if you ever get sick or something happens or you go out of town, right?
or you go to town, or what if you want to go on vacation? What if you want to go see your family? You know, your business, if you want to scale, then your business needs to be able to run without you. Now, maybe you're not at the point. So, for example, you're not at the point where you can afford 4 assistants and a junior broker and all those different pieces.
Right.
Can you have a part-time VA that knows how to run your back office for X amount of time?
Yeah, I think that's important. Something that came into my mind about 10 years ago, uh, we were in a difficult position back then, right? In terms of financial. But um, my uncle owned a catering business, and he had cancer,
Mhm.
and he had gotten better, or was in remission, and then got it bad again. And also at that same time period, I had lost my job. So, we were hoping that he would recover. And since I was available, my grandfather and I basically ran his catering business for a couple of months. But, that was, there was no backup plan. And it was, incredibly scary. And at the end of the day, he did pass away. But it always put in my mind, like, just have things set up in your head, or at least have the relationships to be able to have people back you up in the event something catastrophic happens.
Big business, meaning corporate and the technology world, they call this redundancy.
Yeah.
It's part, you're in real estate, I know you're resident, but when I was in commercial real estate and we were looking for space, and yes, I'll age myself, the internet was a baby. Let's face it, the internet was a baby. Or the use of it was still a baby. Offices started to ask about redundancy in office buildings in terms of accessible to the internet and power. You hear about this with anything that needs refrigeration.
For
What's
sure.
the redundancy on their power grid? Small business, and this is how you turn your hobby into a business, is you put the things in place that make you a business. And
Right.
redundancy is one of those things, backup, options, accessible information. Is your stuff accessible to you if you get stuck in Florida for longer than expected?
Right. Like for me, I'm good with technology. I've always had my things, digital. So
Mhm.
it's like, it has not altered my business in terms of the paperwork or the data at all, where we
Right.
are right now. Everything's, in the cloud and accessible. One thing that I want to touch on in regards to you is, last summer I went on this awesome trip, um, to Southeast Asia. And as I was on the plane leaving Chicago, you have this Facebook group for your coaching. And I posted something about how, you know, this was like a vision of mine to get into this space and to be traveling and seeing the world and being part of this. And um, it was really cool to like type that out and put that out there to,
Mhm.
it just shows the reality of it. And I am so glad that I took that opportunity last year because you don't know how long this is going to last and when you can really safely travel around the world. And I think that once you start to realize that you take the opportunities that are before you because you don't know how long it will be. And that gets rid of a lot of the fear.
It gets that you say that. I have my morning routine, um, that involves gratitudes. It involves reviewing wins so that you don't get mired in what you haven't done. It involves reviewing a lot of information on specific goals. But before I even start that process, there's a section I read: what's my vision?
Hmm.
What's my why? What's the life I'm trying to create for myself? What is my vision and what I want to create in my business? And then why it's so important. And one of the things, and where another place where you and I align, one of the statements that's a part of that is, is why am I working so hard? Why am I trying to do this? Because you only get one life. And I need to know that I've taken advantage of the amazing, amazing opportunities this world has to offer, and that I've had an impact on other people while doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartbreaking to me, not just like, oh well, but like heartbreaking to me when I see people living smaller lives than they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some people get stuck where they are, they're their own captors.
And we all are. I mean, this is not
Right.
easy work to learn.
I mean, I am myself in certain respects for sure.
Sure.
But I mean, I think one of the interesting things about you is that you've gone through several different careers, really, and you've experienced different types of things. And, um, I think your whole thing is you don't want to stay doing something longer than 5 years.
No, if you're not, and it doesn't mean like you don't have to make as drastic shifts as it looks like I have done. At the same time, if you have long enough conversation, you'll realize what I have learned to realize what the threads are. But that's also part of business. If you're not, and universal law, if you're not growing, you're dying. There
Right.
is no still. There is no standing still. So if you're not changing and becoming more relevant, now that doesn't mean squirrel, squirrel. That's not what we're talking about.
You have to pay attention.
Right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about evolution.
Right. So where do you think we're going to be when this is over? What do you think is what are some significant things you think are going to be changing from this?
From this, it'll be interesting if some of these stick. Because some of this happened after 9/11, not to the extent that it's happening now, but I think big business just got a giant light bulb on how much money they can be saving if people weren't gathering in offices.
Mm-hmm.
That will be interesting in the real estate world. So what happened after 9/11 and you had these big, huge vacancies, all of a sudden the office buildings were putting out these opportunities that the businesses couldn't turn down. And that's how you end up with like a 4-person office on the 70th floor of the Sears Tower with the amazing view. And you're like, how did you afford this? Well, after 9/11,
fill the space. Yeah.
But that will take a while to fix. It'll take a while to bounce back. So you're going to watch companies retreat as far as physical space. My personal opinion, what I feel the upside of that will be is some inherent correction in global warming and environmental issues.
You're cutting down commutes.
As less and less people have to commute.
And less business trips.
And some other things. And again, this happened after 9/11 because out of fear. So we'll see, and then here we go and explode again. That's just, it's cycles. The other thing, I think people will remember reputations for at least a while.
What do you mean?
Because there's people out there taking advantage and being cheesy with their marketing. And then there's
like what types of examples?
I know a few people who still held events. Probably
like
in-person events, probably a day or two after they should have.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It was canceling in the 11th hour. I get some events happen before we really knew they shouldn't, but there was that time. Yeah. And it was different in different states, but there was that time where that decision had to be made. And I think a few people fell on the wrong side. Now, I don't think they necessarily did it out of greed, but
trying to figure it out.
What was I going to tell you? The other thing that I think is going to happen that is a little bit different than before, going through their session, like kind of how you said you were out of job and what happened with your uncle, nobody knew how to fix that. There was a complete halt in the velocity of money and nobody knew how to get that pump going again. You need, how often does a dollar turn over in payment of goods and services? Mm-hmm. And that measurement is a measurement of the health of the economy. And when it comes to a screeching halt, we're in trouble. And during the recession, there was no money. It came to a screeching halt. The difference now is most businesses are just waiting for a green light. We're not confused. We're just halted.
Right. It's very different than 10 years ago.
We're just waiting for, okay, go. And at the same time, plenty of businesses are figuring it out. Now, they might not be charging what they used to charge. So does that slow down money? Absolutely.
For sure.
Might not be able to employ as many. And again, this is kind of coming from entrepreneur space, not catering space, where hospitality space, where they're completely shut down. And for them, it's a scarier waiting game.
Yep.
Still just a little bit of a waiting game, not a, oh my God, what do we do?
You know, I look at a couple things that create some optimism for me. One is, you know, after the Spanish flu, if you look back there, we had the roaring 20s.
Right.
And yeah, we had the Great Depression
the
too.
The 20s aren't working out so well this time.
No, not, but I mean, look, it's kind of ironic, right? And I interviewed a man named Jeff Shankerman the other day here, and he's a financial planner. And I asked him, you know, do you think that the economy is going to be stagnant or will it bounce back? And he said, you know, we're in a very different place than we were 10 years ago, because a lot of jobs it's more of a gig economy. So once you say go, people start working. And, you know, certain things can continue, like what you're doing, coaching and remote, you know, learning, that things like that can continue already. But it's not like you're retraining somebody how to work in a factory.
Right.
And, you know, if you look at like Boeing, I know they shut down production because airplanes aren't flying, and what are they doing? But once things start to, I think they'll actually be pretty badly affected. But I think after a while, people still know how to build an airplane.
Right.
And one other thing is like everyone's been talking about how automation is going to destroy jobs. And I think this may accelerate the push towards automation and artificial intelligence, because they don't have to worry about diseases. But for right now, you see how important people are to the.
You know, as you were talking, I was just going to say that. And this is not a soapbox of mine. This is not a big issue for me, but I have on different occasions in my life, not that I don't enjoy sports and movies and have my, you know, Hollywood crushes, but it's become, you're not even hearing, you know, I love the free concerts. I think that's an amazing contribution to the mental health of what is going on right now, and people putting that content out. But we're realizing who is needed when it hits the fan, and who is, okay, it's fun to have.
Right.
But
I mean, I think if we had sports, though, that would be really good for people. People love.
The distraction. Look at Netflix.
Yeah. No, I mean, like ESPN doesn't know what to put out now.
Seriously, I get it, and it's not that there's not the place for that.
Right.
And like I said, this is not really a soapbox issue of mine, because
it's like, what is essential?
But what is essential, and not in a way to hurt Hollywood and sports, but in a way to recognize everyone else, in a way to give credit where credit is due to the people we have not been so kind to
our teachers, to our grocery shop workers, to our healthcare providers. You know, that's the people who are shining right now.
Right. It's not about slamming these people. It's about, literally 2 seconds before we jumped on, I watched a video of the hospital in Italy and a parade and everybody cheering for the patients who are leaving, for the patients who are recovering and getting to go home.
It's amazing.
And that appreciation will hopefully, if anything, you know, if we talk about what the opportunities are and what's going to last and for how long, I think the appreciation for the people who put themselves out there in ways we didn't even realize were putting themselves out there, if that can last, how amazing would that be?
Right. And we will never, ever have to shake someone's hand again.
We'll never, right? Which I know you love, right?
Yes.
if nothing else, now that we're not together like we used to be, I got great joy out of pressing your buttons any chance I could get. You weren't knowing what they were.
For sure.
Especially since so much of our time together was spent eating.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, hey, can I have a sip of your drink? Knowing how that just sent you over the edge.
Yeah, people know that. I've had fun. The other day we were doing a deep cleaning of the house, and I had my kids doing cleaning. So I took a picture of them and I sent this to some friends who like know I'm like so like crazy with this
borderline
stuff.
germaphobe. It's okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
That's fine. It's
And
fine.
I said I'm in heaven.
So my boyfriend is, the first week I was here, he's like, no problem, do what you have to do. A couple of days ago we talked by Zoom, and he's like, the house is destroyed. I don't understand what happened. I need you to help me.
Yeah. Do a Zoom call. You could train them.
Right.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I want to show everybody your website and how to get in touch with you and everything there. So let's.
And also give them that free training, because I think I've gotten some great feedback. See, that's a great picture. Isn't that wonderful?
It's wonderful.
That's what YouTube picked.
You could change that. You know, you could go.
You can change that. I don't know how to change that.
No, you go. Where did you up? Because when you go to where you manage your videos,
it's probably YouTube.
You could change. Yeah, you could choose which thumbnail you want.
Isn't that so much more fun?
It is.
So yeah,
that's a great picture.
Whacker in Michigan.
That's awesome. Oh yeah. So you help people, professionals, make more free time and make more money.
Yes.
You talk about all these different things. You could do remote. Your website is conqueryourbusiness.com.
Yes.
Cool.
And there's a free ebook. Please take whatever you can need. But also,
where is the ebook?
It'll pop up when someone first. If you go to the homepage and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that. That's a program. So if you go to the homepage and scroll down, you'll see.
That's so awesome. I love that you're doing these things.
There you go. There's the ebook pops up.
Okay.
So this one's here's the thing. None of those 19 tips is not applicable. So feel free. But at the same time, if you go to conqueryourbusiness.com /conquer-turbulent-times/
Okay.
That's that lovely picture you had of
what, over here?
No, it's a hidden page because we've got it linked.
Okay. Wait,
so it's conqueryourbusiness.com /conquer-turbulent-times. And that is free training on 10 things. Yeah. Okay. So that link is free. That's a video on 10 things you can still conquer in turbulent times. And then what I'm really excited about, because I'm putting it together right now, for folks who put their email name in there so I can get a hold of them later, I have a new program available called Conquer Your Thoughts. And normally that would be in my $149 mini course, but I will be just giving that to anybody who it can help. Well, people will remember you and your reputation. If nothing else, for that picture alone. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's you're my office. That was my new office, the lanai on my mom's porch. That's my mom's house. Your office is wherever you are. Yours. But you are the best. You really are. I'm so. With you. It is. I'm glad we're able to see each other, and in a few years when we're able to be together in the same place. Exactly. It'd be great to say hello. It'll be great to try to eat off your plate again. So it'd be awesome. That will never happen. Well, you've been waiting for social distancing all your life. Exactly. Oh, it's so funny. Yes. Well, thank you for joining me. Hang on just a second. I'm going to stop the stream, but everybody, thanks so much for watching. Yeah. Thank you.